So we're going to the importance of socialization in influencing human behavior, including the nurture versus nature. So socialization is a process that describes how we are taught the behavioral rules we need to become both a member of a particular society or culture and an able social actor. So socialization allows us to integrate into the society. That is what socialization is about. And we have the primary and the secondary. So biology rather than culture may influence some of the ways people behave. Like all animal species, humans seem to be programmed by genes to some extent. For example, there seems to be drives for procreation or for self-preservation. Genetics suggests that behavior may be guided by instincts based on biological instructions that can be seen as part of human nature. Whatever we do, there's that biology, which is the study of nature.
Yeah.
So it also reflects on how we behave in society. So that's what they are saying there. But so there's gene, that means genetics, the transfer of habits, the transfer of character from parents to offspring. It is part of her behavior. So
Yeah.
I might be behaving the way my dad is behaving.
Yeah.
So it is genetical.
Yeah.
So it's part of how we behave. So that is biology though.
Right.
So instincts are fixed human features. So these are things we are born knowing, and our cultural environment plays little or no role in the development of these instincts. For example, many females have a mothering instinct. So instincts, when we talk about instinct simply means what comes through our mind, how our mind is.
Alhamdulillah.
So our instincts, what guides our thoughts. You know, sometimes, oh, why did you do it that way? It's my instincts.
Yeah.
So, for me as an individual, I trust my instincts. So, like when my mind tells me to do this, I want to make sure I do it because doing it will give me a good result, or it would have saved me from an event that I wouldn't have known about.
Okay.
So that is instinct. So they made mention of a woman here. So the instinct of a woman is that caring nature. It is part of them. So it's a woman or it's a girl. She has a motherly instinct. So she will care more because she's going to be a mother.
Yeah.
So that's an instinct. So a weaker expression of this idea is that people are born with certain capabilities that are then put into practice through environmental experiences. Nature gives us strong hints about behavioral rules, but people are free to ignore those hints. If women have greater child caring capabilities than men, then it makes genetic sense for them to take on a caring role within the family. However, this is not something that their genes force them to do. One way to test whether nature in the form of instincts or nurture in the form of socialization is the most important factor is to take advantage of a naturally occurring form of experimentation. So the study of unsocialized or feral children will tell us about it. So this is where we have the eye and the meeting. So there's nature and there's nurture. Nurture is about who cares, how you're being cared for. Nature is the natural situation of things.
Yeah.
That is the difference between nature and nurture. But which one has more impact in the behavior of people? That is where we're going.
Okay.
So we take the feral children. For a feral child is that child that lacks primary socialization.
That's not social.
It doesn't have parents or it doesn't have primary socialization. That's why we call him or her a feral child. So for a feral child, the way he or she is going to behave will be different.
Right?
Why? Because he doesn't have primary socialization.
Which is?
No care from parents. He grew up alone or being taken care of by animals.
No, like personal appearance.
Yeah, you get it. So we call him or her a feral child because he lacks primary socialization. No parental care.
Which in order for someone to be social, they need to have good appearance.
Good parents?
I never knew that.
No, not really good parents. Yeah, all parents should be good. That's reality. But when you lack that parental touch,
the appearance.
it needs to be part of it because the parents teaches you. That's why we call it primary socialization. They teach you how to interact with the society.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know how to say good morning or how to go to the toilet, how to do these things without the parents.
True.
So that means you start growing up, knowing things from the parents. So a child that lacks this parental touch or care will be considered as a feral child
Mm.
because it's either he grew up himself,
Mm.
like without anybody caring for him or her,
Mm.
or he or she is being raised by animals. You know, people can be raised by animals.
Yeah, I know.
You get about it.
Yeah.
I'm being reasonable here, you know.
Wait.
Being reasonable, yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, there's a case about it. A child being raised by an animal.
Yeah, Tarzan.
So that child will not behave like
like
human.
normal human.
It would, for a feral child could walk with all hands, with the legs,
Yeah.
like animal.
Yeah.
He's not going to walk upright.
Yeah.
So the thing is, he's not going to even eat food. Might eat,
Other raw animals.
yeah, you get it?
Yeah.
Or leaves and the rest. So let's go on, we can understand more about feral children anyway. Feral children have missed out, yes, they said it already. Feral children have missed out on primary socialization by humans. Examples attract a lot of media attention, but in most cases, the evidence is very unclear. For example, it is usually uncertain how long the child was away from people, and some have often noted that cases have been proved fake. Feral children can be raised by animals or survive on their own. So they lack primary socialization. That is the point. Evidence of human infants raised by animals is rare and not always reliable. One recent example is Saturday Mitihen, who was discovered in 1987, aged 5, living with a pack of monkeys in South Africa, and who years later still behave in ways associated with monkeys rather than humans. You see? So, however, evidence of children raised with little or no human contact is more common. A well-documented example is Jenny, a 13-year-old Californian girl discovered in 1970. Pine, 1997, knows that Jenny was being isolated in a small room and had not been spoken to by her parents since infancy. She was malnourished, abused, unloved, bereft of any toys or companionship. When Jenny was found, she could not stand erect. Yes, she couldn't stand upright. She was unable to speak, she could only whimper. So, feral children are sociologically significant for two main reasons. First, when children are raised, okay, so before we go into evidence about feral children, so for a feral child, you know, how we stand up, how we sit, we imitate, but we don't have people to imitate. A child talks, a child will start talking through imitation, right? So when you don't have that, how will you be able to talk? You won't talk.
You can't.
So that's why we call them feral children, because they lack that primary socialization. So then said, figure one, Daniel, okay. So feral children are sociologically significant for two main reasons. First, when children are raised without human contact, they fail to show the social and physical development we would expect from an ordinary raised child. For example, walking upright, talking. We just talked about it now. So these things comes with imitation, but you don't see people do it, then you won't do it. So you wouldn't even understand how to do it.
Yeah, so that's why they're not social.
That's why they are not social. So children raised by animals behave as the animals do, suggesting that they learn by imitation.
Yeah.
To get the point here.
I also know there's like this little girl that's like in my family. She's not social at all. She cannot speak to others because she's been like in a long time. She never spoke to anyone. She didn't go to school. That's why she has a really hard time socializing with random people.
So, because nobody does it, you can't even imitate. You don't have anybody to look up to.
Yeah, she doesn't.
So you lack that social.
Yeah, she
social.
lacks.
So I think the point is clear.
Yes.
Second, if human behavior is instinctive, it is not clear why children such as Ginny should develop so differently from children raised with human contact. We would also expect that once returned to human society, feral children would quickly pick up normal human behaviors. This, however, is not the case, suggesting that if children miss out on socialization by humans at an early stage in their life, this cannot be corrected later.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, they are being raised by animals. For example, they are being raised by animals, but what they are saying here is nature. The first one is nurture and nature. So nature is the instinct part of it, like it's human. So normally it should behave like human.
Yeah.
Naturally, it should behave like human. Oh, because he or she has been in contact with animals. So he's behaving like, or she's behaving like an animal. But as soon as he's been out of the animal situation or the animal environment, it should come back to behaving like human. That is where nature comes in. But it is not possible because, like what they said there, he said it's if you lose the social interaction, you lose the primary socialization. It is difficult to catch up with.
Yeah, of course, if you're used to such an environment for such a long time, it's hard to go back.
So that means nature versus nurture situation is coming up here. So it is the nature of human to behave as human.
Yes.
But because there's nurture, the nurturing part of it, which is your parents telling you what to do, my parents telling me what to do,
Yeah.
what not to do. That is nurture.
Yeah.
So nurture is also an influence to how we behave in the society, not only nature. Nature has its own side, but nurture has more influence because whatever we do is through imitation. So that is the point they're making there. Do we get it?
Yes.
Okay. So shall we move on?
Yep.
So further evidence for the significance of socialization is the fact that different cultures develop different ways of doing things. If human behavior were governed by instinct, that is nature, we would expect there to be few, if any differences between society. In fact, of course, there are huge variations between cultures. So it means in nature it is instinctive, but we have different people, we have different culture.
Yeah.
So why are we not behaving the same way? Why don't we have the same belief?
Yes.
So it means you grow up to be what you are based on the society you belong
You've
to.
lived in, or yeah.
You lived in.
Yeah.
So it means nurture works more than nature.
Yeah.
That's the point against nature here.
Yes.
Do you understand? So,
Yeah, for example, like when I've lived abroad, I've been like in an environment where I know how to socialize, but then when I came back here in Libya, it's different because everyone socializes in a
so
different way.
it means you need to acclimatize
Yeah,
to
so-
the ways things are right now.
Yeah,
So
it's hard.
it is nurture, not nature.
Yes.
In nature, it is natural, but in nurture, it is learning
Yes.
how to,
Yes.
which is important to human behavior in the society.
Yes.
I think the points are clear.
Yes.
So we can just go down.
Yeah.
So the I and the me. So basic human skills have to be taught and learned. So the symbolic interactionist George Herbert argued that the same was true of more advanced social skills. He claimed that the social context in which behavior occurs condition how people behave. While self-awareness is your I. So they said, while self-awareness, the ability to see ourselves as others see us, and react accordingly is often seen as an instinctive human skill. May argue that it is in fact learned. It involves developing a concept of self that this is what sets human apart from animals. So for me, the self and awareness of who we are has two related aspects, which is the I and the me. So it's about realizing self, who I am,
Yeah.
and what people see me to be.
Mhm.
It is an awareness of a thing, and it is more of nature than nurture. So here, according to him, he said, an I aspect based around our opinion of ourselves as a whole. We each respond to the behavior of others as an I. Made call this unsocialized self. So we respond based on what they do to us. So I can't take this.
Mhm.
It's an I can't take this. Why did you do this to me?
Oh.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
So that's the I and the me. So the I comes because it is part of your unsocialized self.
Yeah. social.
I can't take this. I don't want to belong to that. I can't. But for me, it's because you have realized who you are. It's your socialized self.
Yes.
Do you get what I'm saying, or
Yeah.
I should repeat it?
Yeah, I understand. I and me different. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, it's an aspect that consists of that awareness of how others expect us to behave. But how we see people, how we see things is the I. But how we expect others to see us
It's
or
me.
behave to us is the me.
Yes.
Do you get it?
Yes.
Why did you do that to me? Why? Do you get the point? So a me aspect that consists of an awareness of how others expect us to behave in a given situation. We may call this the social self because it develops through socialization. So we can illustrate this idea in the following way. If you accidentally put your hand in a fire, the I is expressed by how you react to the pain. But the me, however, specifically conditions how you choose to express that pain.
Mhm.
So your reactions will be conditioned by factors such as who you are, where you are, who you are with. Who you are, a child, an adult, a male or female. That would talk about the I and the me. Where you are you alone? Are you at home? Are you in a public area? The environment you have at that present time when the situation occurs also has an impact. And the last one is who you are with. Are you with your family, friends, or strangers? So the way you behave with your family will be different from the way you behave with strangers and friends.
Yeah.
So there are always going to be these things about our attitude
Yes.
using the
It
I.
change,
It,
yeah.
it has to change because you are in separate different conditions.
Yes.
If you are a young child, for example, your reaction to being born may be to cry. If you are a young man, you may feel that crying is not a socially acceptable reaction. Here, you burnt your hand, but because you are a child, you have to cry.
Yeah.
But as an adult, you're like,
You have to handle.
why would I cry?
Yeah.
It's not socially acceptable.
Yes.
Crying.
It's not.
Just like a man, you wouldn't see a man cry out there. Like,
No.
no
Like a
matter
woman, you
how
wouldn't,
difficult it
yeah.
is, you wouldn't cry. But these days, men shows emotions too. Men shows emotions these days. Men show emotion.
Really?
So yeah, they cry
That's
outside.
sweet.
Yeah, men cry now, even publicly. So they do what even women does. Yeah, I'm serious. Men do show emotions now. You're gonna get to know more when we go
Okay.
further. So you may swear loudly instead. Swearing loudly may be acceptable if you are at home by yourself, but may not be acceptable if you are fixing a stranger's fire as part of your job. You see, because you are fixing it's a job.
Mhm.
You got hurt about the job. You got hurt during the job. You can't cry loud because it means you're making a mistake.
Exactly.
Because it is expected of you to do it well,
To handle the situation.
to handle the situation. So you shouldn't. But if it was at home, even
You
if you are
can.
fixing things, you can cry out loud.
Yes.
It is acceptable. Maybe
Yeah.
you might even gain empathy
Yeah,
from
because they
people.
now like.
You might gain sympathy. Sorry.
Yeah, because crying nowadays, especially in society, when they see someone cry, they feel like they're childish to do so.
To do so.
Yeah, they think that everyone should handle
And do
the
situations.
situation better.
Yeah, that's it. So but we will look at it and we understand. We have to understand that it depends on where we are, who we are with,
Yeah.
who we are.
Yeah.
So the presentation of self. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. The presentation of self. If the social context of an act changes both its meaning and how people react, it follows that an awareness of self is constructed and developed socially. For Goffman in 1956, he argues that who we believe ourselves to be, our sense of identity, is also constructed socially through how we present ourselves to others.
Wait, sorry, is it here?
Yeah, the presentation of self.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I forget about that. It's about crying and laughing. So what happens with crying is the same that happens to laugh.
No, same.
So there are some places you don't
can't
want to laugh
out
out.
loud, yeah.
That's about it.
Serious persons, yeah.
I think it's clear.
Yes.
So we go to the presentation of self. So how do we present ourselves? So sometimes we need to be aware that our identity, the society is constructed, is socially constructed. So it means whatever happens in that society is being put together by some unknown forces.
Yeah.
Okay? So according to Goffman, he argues that who we believe ourselves to be, our sense of identity, is also constructed socially through how we present ourselves to others. So if I come in here and my presentation to you doesn't seem to be a teacher, you would immediately tell me that you would immediately know that I am not a teacher.
Yeah.
But my presentation, my identity will be known based on how
You
I
act.
approach you, and you understand. That is the point there. So for Goffman proposed a model of self and identity in which he describes social life as a series of dramatic episodes. People are actors. Sometimes they write and speak their own lines. This is their personal identity. Sometimes they follow lines that are written for them. The external influences that inform how people behave in particular situations and roles, for example, because we understand how our society defines masculinity and femininity. We know how we are expected to behave if we are a male or female. We can also work out how others will react to our behavior. We can see ourselves as others do and adjust our behavior so as to try to make the impression on them that we want to achieve. So, the presentation of self, still on the presentation of self, is based on how we identify ourselves. Aside how we identify ourselves, sometimes we act on our instinct, on how we think we should act.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we act on script.
Yes.
So that means we are actors.
Yes, you are.
We are. So an actor that we are could be based on how we are or what people want or the society wants us to be.
From us, yeah.
Do you understand? So we can adjust.
Mm-hmm.
That is the point. So we have our ways, we have our attitudes, we have our behaviors. But if in a certain situation it is expected of us to behave in a certain way, then we are reading a script.
Yeah.
Because it is not
something we would want to do.
we would want to do. So it is not we. So we are doing something else. So that is the point they're making. I think you're getting it. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the idea of creating an impression is also significant in relation to how we present ourselves in different situations. Government suggests, are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Government suggests that when we adopt a particular identity, we perform to others in order to manage the impression they have to of us. Identity performance, therefore, is about achieving a desired result. When you want to create a favorable impression on someone, you act in ways you believe they will like. For example, if you want to be seen as a good sociology student, you could carry around a textbook and a full folder of notes.
Yeah.
50 years looking before government, Cooley suggests that in the majority of social encounters, other people are used as a looking glass self. They are like mirrors, reflecting on certain things. So they are like mirrors, reflecting ourselves as others see us. When we look into the mirror of how others behave towards us, we see reflected an image of the person they think we have. So the presentation of self, before we go into the presentation of selves and what it involves. So all in all, we have to adjust because the society wants us to behave in a certain way.
Yeah.
So if I need something from you and it is important to get it from you, I have to find a way to make you happy. So this is not my way. I am finding a way. So it becomes me acting to get what I really want to get from you. That is the point. So now let's go to how presentation comes into reality. The first one, the importance of interpretation. Are you there?
Yeah.
It said identities are broad social categories whose meanings differ both historically and across different cultures. So we have to understand how we interpret things. So it is an identity. So our identity can be linked to the past, and it can also be linked to different cultures.
Yes.
So for culture, it means way of doing things. Oh, you are identified this way. This is how they used to do in their culture, in their society. This is their way. That is identity linked to culture. Identity linked to history is, oh, they are royal, they are from the royal family, so they should be identified as part of the royals.
Yes.
Do you understand? So that is linked to culture, that is linked to history, the past events. That, so the past gives you
an identity.
a label,
Yeah.
an identity.
Yeah.
But if we have to link it to
Culture.
your culture, it means how you behave, your way of life. That makes us to think this is who you are.
Yeah.
Do you understand the
Culture,
presentation of self
yes.
here? That is for interpretation. Okay. Then the second one is the significance of negotiation. So for negotiation, it means we have to sit down to talk about it. What identity we want. So let me read anyway. They said the significance of negotiation. Identities are always open to discussion. Are you there? No. Yeah, these are, I'm talking about the presentation of selves, which involves the interpretation we give to identity, which can either be cultural or historical, and the significance of negotiation. For negotiation, it means, yes, you have an identity, but we have to sit down to discuss the kind of identity we're talking about. So let me read anyway. The significance of negotiation. Identities are always open to discussion. What it means to be male, female, young, old, and so on is constantly changing as people push the negotiated boundaries of these identities. So it is open to negotiation, which means you are being considered a female based on certain things. So I could call you, oh, you're a strong man. You're just like a man based on certain things that I've seen. Oh, you're so strong. You're just like a man. So I wouldn't call you a lady, I'll call you a man.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So these things are open to discussion based on different situations. That is the point they're making here. I think you get the point. I think you get it, right? Okay, good. So we go down. Alternatives. Are you there?
Yep.
Good. Alternatives. Not all scientific disciplines place the same emphasis on socialization as sociology does when explaining how individuals become competent social actors. For example, biological ideas about evolution have sometimes been used to explain social development. These ideas range from relatively simple form of social Darwinism based on the idea that social life simply involves the survival of the fittest. So when we talk about survival of the fittest, we're talking about the strong are the ones that are kept. So the society before now is a society that it is only those that are stronger survive it.
Yes.
That is what they are saying here. So it is always challenging. So you challenge another to survive. You challenge another to live. So for you to live in that society, you need to take someone out of that society. That is survival of the fittest. Do you get that? Do you understand the point there? So that's true biology anyway. So according to so to the more sophisticated argument of social biology, in these biological principles of natural selection and evolution are applied to the human animal to produce what Wilson in 1979 argued as biological basis of all human behavior. He claimed that although human behavior is not genetically determined, it is strongly influenced by biological programming or biogrammas. Wilson believes that these biogrammas suggest that humans are likely to behave in particular ways. For example, he believes that men and women are biologically programmed with different traits that lead them to perform different cultural roles. Women are passive, nurturing and caring, which makes them best suited to child rearing. They are straight. For male traits, there's aggressiveness. Because of that aggressiveness, it gives them that ability to be stronger and to survive, to withstand different storms.
Yes.
So that's why they will have to be the ones to provide for the society, for the family.
For the families.
So, but women, they are seen as being emotional. They care.
Yes.
So they take up the domestic role.
Yes.
Do you understand? So that is the point I'm making here. So this argument influences sociology. For example, the work of functionalists. So for functionalists, who are functionalists? They are part of sociology. They are sociological. They are part of sociologists that believe that the society will only be what it is if everyone takes up their role and be responsible. These are functionalists. They see consensus rather than conflicts. I'm just telling you, we're going to go further anyway.
Okay.
So, but for functionalists, they are sociologists too, but they see more of consensus. They see that they feel that the society could become a better place if we are all always reaching agreement or compromise things.
Okay.
That's about functionalists. So for functionalists here, they talked about for functionalists, such as Parsons in 1959, he argued that in most societies, family roles are organized to reflect the belief that women play expressive role, that of caring for others. Men, however, play an instrumental role, with a focus on providing for the family. Both of these roles are based in part on evolutionary biological principles. So for functionalists, let me quickly go deep in functionalists. They see a role of the school. They see a role for the society. They see a role for the parents. So the function of the school is to teach, to put students to understand how they behave after school. That is the function of the school. So if the school performs its well, then the society becomes a better place because it would have meant that the parents have performed their own functions too. So that's about functionalists. So for functionalists, they don't see instrumental role and express role as separate things. They feel the family will work well if both parents carry on both instrumental and express role. We call it instrumental because it's that role that brings food to the table. And we call it express role because it's part of the domestic role about emotional aspect of the family. So let me see what we need to know more about here. So why males and the next paragraph, why males and females can choose not to take these roles? Persons believe overriding the biogramma behavior that opposes this biological instinct is seen as a less efficient way of organizing human cultural relationships. So, for example, men can take an expressive role and women the instrumental role, but this is likely to cause social problems because it's not making the best use of the different capabilities of males and females. So, according to Parsons, we can switch our role, but when we switch our role based on the situation, there's going to be a social problem because I am not doing the best I can do. I'm not working to the best of my ability, and you might not be doing to your best of ability. So, because the society is being built in a way that certain things should be done by female and certain things should be done by male. So that is what he is saying, according to him. So psychology is, however, a diverse field, and there are many different explanations for human development.
But it's true. Men and women have different roles. They should not.
They should not switch roles, right?
Yeah,
but we should have a combined role.
I mean, they can try their roles, but they shouldn't switch the roles because the men they should provide, and women should raise the children, take care of the house, and the men should provide. And they're both not easy for none of them. So it's
Well, the society we are going now, the industrial society.
They don't agree.
We don't. now these are still pre-industrial society.
Yeah.
But the industrial society, men and women, we have the working men, the working women.
Yeah.
So it means the express role wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work on.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
We get to know more anyway. So based on psychology, these range from those focused on genetics through disciplines such as neuropsychology to social psychological approaches, but similar to the interactionist theories found in the works of Mead and Goffman. So social psychology places greater stress on how environmental factors such as family and work relationships affect the development of genetics and psychological predisposition. Noted, although there exists a genetic instinct for babies to become attached to their primary caregiver, this can be affected by environmental factors. So the most important of this is the ability of the caregiver to recognize and understand the needs of the child. So all in all, how we behave in society, it's basically on the kind of relationship that we are into growing up. So like the child, they said here, the caregiver. So if the mom does it well, the mom take care of the child, a female child, as soon as the female child grows up, she's going to
do the same. Yeah.
So it means it will continue in that trend.
Yeah.
So that is all about human behavior. So, but human behavior for sociology is different from the way biology sees it. For the biologists, they see it as genetical. But for sociologists, they see it as natural inside and it's constructed. So that means whatever we do in life, our behavior is governed based on how the society is.
Also by like the way the person is raised. So if the mother
Being
is
raised,
working, the daughter will become like the mother because she's been in that environment. So
ways.
it's basically the social and where you are as an environment.
So to you, do you think human behavior is more of nature or nurture?
I don't know.
No, it is based on what we have read.
Yeah.
So do you think human behavior is more of nurture or nature?
Human behavior.
Human behavior.
I think it's from both in some ways, like 50-50, I'm not sure.
No, I would say it as 50-50 because if it was 50-50, then we won't be able to raise an argument. But we are able to raise an argument here for the fact that we talked about the feral child who finds it difficult to integrate back to the society.
Yeah.
But if it is nature, if it is 50-50 thing, it shouldn't be difficult for that feral child to go back to the society and behave literally the same way with the society.
It's going to take time, obviously.
It takes time. In as much as it takes time, it means nurture has edge over nature.
Yeah, it has more advantage.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And if the society, the way we look at it, the society, if the society is socially constructed, so it means whatever we do, however we behave, is part of certain things that has been done in the past, that has been linked to what we do. If not, then as soon as we're born, we should be able to speak.
Yeah.
We should be able to stand erect. We should be able to eat. We should be able to do these things. We won't do them if we are not taught to do them, or we didn't learn how to do them.
Yeah. True.
Do you understand? So that ends the note about the importance of socialization to human behavior. Any question?
No.
Great.